Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. Record reflect all members of Commissioners Court are here. We only have one item on the agenda today under county attorney. Lee, you want to take that?
Yes, I believe Darlene needs to go first on this item to give the report of the, on the quick proposal.
Judge and Commissioners, take all appropriate action for the RFP annual sheltering service to reject all proposals received or reject and re-advertise for new proposals.
Move. Second.
To reject
To
or
reject and re-advertise.
To re-advertise?
Oh, no, wait a minute. No, no.
We just moved a second, but.
I don't want to re-advertise.
you want to reject?
I want to reject. Move to reject.
So we have a
Second. We have a motion to reject and a second. Commissioner.
I would like some more information on why about your recommendation, how you came to that, and then why we would not re-advertise.
Well, we received two proposals, and we felt that the proposals failed to articulate and demonstrate measurable shelter management experience, knowledge, and management proficiency for our evaluation.
So neither one of the proposals met our minimum criteria.
If we reject those, then what would we do in terms of management of the shelter? Would we take that over ourselves?
I imagine whatever this court decides today to do.
Well, I'd like there to be some discussion on how we proceed before we vote. I mean, if we reject and don't re-advertise, what's the plan?
Can we talk about the plan right now, BD?
Well, yes, I think if you reject and don't re-advertise, then you are left with two options. One is to continue the current animal shelter services agreement with Care Corporation. The other is to terminate that and take the operation of the shelter over as a county entity. So those are really your options if you reject and don't re-advertise.
Okay, so if we reject and don't re-advertise, would you like to make a recommendation?
Okay, so we reject and don't re-advertise. I make the county is going to take the shelter off. The county is going to take the operation of the shelter.
You just amended your motion, and I'll second that.
I mean, that's how we have to do it.
So your motion is to reject, not re-advertise, and the county would currently take the operations of the shelter over.
Correct.
On date, a given date?
Okay. Yes.
I don't know how we can do this. I didn't know whether we was going to have to do this so separated. Here's the deal we had, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, BD. We were going to come before the termination date of November the 7th, the Care Court. The county takes it over November the 7th at 8 o'clock in the morning. That was our recommendation to the court.
We do have a follow-up on that. As you know, we've been in discussions with Care Corporation's attorney ever since August, basically, with regard to the termination of that agreement and the transition from their operation to whatever would happen as a result of the RFP. We do not have a signed agreement, though we have an agreement in principle with regard to the termination of the Care Corporation agreement and a transition there, and that date that is the tentative proposed agreement is November 7th, which is this Saturday. We have had internal discussions with W. Shaw about the procedures needed in order for the county to take over the shelter and operate it and manage it, both with some other people within the county. So based upon the last meeting that Commissioner Riley and I and Commissioner Clark and I had with the members and the other employees of the county, we feel that that can be accomplished. Takeover day is November 7th. So that is certainly one of again, that's the option of the county to take it over. We do have an agreement in principle in place to take it over on the 7th of November.
So we have agreement to cancel Care Corporation by November 7th. We would then take it over. I know there was some talk at one time about creating a governmental
local government
corporation, ultimately to run it with the board. Is that something that we would want to continue, Commissioner, to continue to pursue or look at down the road?
Yes.
I think that's going to be part of the process after we take it over to move forward.
Well, who's gonna run this shelter starting November 7th at 8 AM?
The court would need to decide going forward. There's some discussions between Commissioner Riley and Commissioner Clark, I believe, as to who might oversee it initially.
I think those need to be had now.
Yeah,
There's a lot of frustration, and we can't talk to each other at all.
And so, and I'm not trying to be
No, I
a
understand.
pain, but
But there's a vet currently on site that we're gonna put in charge of the shelter, along with other people, other techs that are there. Until we hire somebody, we're gonna go out for a nationwide search for a director for the shelter.
good.
We've got other people in place. We've got a budget here in front of y'all with salary grades. The positions have been graded and slotted through Doty and through purchasing, through the auditor's office. All of that's ready to go. We intend to start interviewing current employees that are there now as soon as we get, maybe not today, maybe starting tomorrow.
we do expect to have the final word on their agreement today.
Yeah.
I did get an email from Fair Corporation's attorney last night, said one of the doctors needed to do a final review of the details of the agreement, but he did not anticipate any issues with it, certainly none that we could work through today, and would expect to have, he's in court this morning and talked to me today, so we do expect to have all the terms of the agreement done today. Like I said, I believe we have an agreement in principle as it stands.
What's the financial repercussions of us taking over?
Currently, we have an estimate if, we're estimating about $500,000 in revenue to come in if we took it over. And so we would need about $500,000 additional budget from what is currently budgeted for care coverage.
So it's $1 million increase
Correct.
in the operation expense, and we're gonna claim $500,000 in income
Correct.
over the next, till next fiscal year, I assume.
Yes, sir.
So it's $500,000.
Could we bring these, the personnel that are there, bring them on as temporary county employees until we get a
Yes.
management company?
Yes, that's-
Bring everybody on temporary
Okay.
for no longer than a year. If there's anyone that we feel we need to hire right now today, we go ahead and do it. Or after we get this approved, we can hire those. Everybody else will be temporary for just a year, or no more than a year.
Yeah.
Angie, what's the current, I didn't bring the current budget for the animal shelter. I think it's
Let's see, the
Two
current
current
budget
budget,
is 1.4 million.
So 1.4, and how,
I'm sorry, I have to make a correction. It's 1.5 because we had to make a payment that's being paid today.
okay,
So the current budget.
so 1.5 million, and, I mean, just getting this today, obviously hadn't had time to look at it, but why is it gonna be more expensive for us to run this ourselves than it was to pay an outside entity to run the shelter?
Benefits for employees.
Yeah, that's what I was
But
thinking.
this is about, wasn't that the budget when we privatized, or the prior board privatized it to begin with?
I don't,
Yes, it was the same, roughly the same budget.
Have the number of employees grown or salaries changed so that benefits are?
They have more employees now.
I mean,
On this draft.
before we adopt a new budget, I would like us just to operate with the budget that is given, and if we need to increase that along the way, I think we should, but I don't know that I want to just put another $500,000 into it immediately. And if we need to as we go, I think that's fine. I want to make sure, first and foremost, we got to make sure the animals are cared for, and I'm sure that's where we're headed, but if we used to run it for 1.5 in the past, and a for-profit company was running it for 1.5, I don't know why we couldn't.
Well, we could get maybe a quarter's worth of expenses. I mean, obviously, we've got enough money in the budget to run it
Yeah.
for a quarter. See what it does, and
Yeah.
maybe readdress the financial end of it at that time.
I agree with that.
Would you be going
Maybe if
with the number of employees that were estimated on here, or would you be going with current employees?
Well, I mean, I
Are
think
these
they're gonna have to
employees
get it-
already hired?
No.
Well, we don't need the money right now then.
Yeah, I think they'll have to get in there and figure out what they need as far as employees go, and then obviously a big part of it will be working with the,
We're not anticipating on losing a lot of employees when we go interview these, and that's why they're slotted, and that's why
Is this the actual employees that are there today?
Is this a,
I believe
I
so.
think this is the current,
Based upon the current number of employees, to the best of our knowledge, that
I would agree, if we allocate the existing budget to running the shelter, and if at some point we create a, help me out again, the
local government corporation.
local government corporation that would then take over, we may not have to allocate additional dollars out of our budget if they can manage it for that amount of money. If we need to, we can add more money.
and will the goal still be to eventually take this back to bid for privatization, or
I
would
think
we?
that's what this government, what do you call it?
Local government corporation.
Local government, I think that's the direction we need to be going.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt we need to change the direction of the shelter. And I think that means removing the current management structure, and if that means the county needs to step in and fill that void temporarily or permanently, that can be decided. But is this going to fall under your supervision, or Jim's under yours, or who's going to manage this going forward?
Jim Clark.
Who's going to be, is the court going to interview and hire this director, or is that going to be Jim Clark?
I think you probably do the search and bring us a couple of recommendations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like we would normally in any department.
Yeah, I think the whole court should have.
See, that's gonna be close to $100,000. The difference in the budget is, Care Corp didn't need a director, they ran it themselves, so that's one part of it. I think y'all are concerned,
We just want to make sure that what you're looking at is actual accounting recommendation for employees, that we don't have the actual employees that are currently at CARE right now on this list. This is what the county has come up with as to employees necessary to run the shelter. This is a recommendation, a county employee recommendation as to what's necessary for us to run the shelter.
That may be what Tim came up with as
Yeah.
far as recommended.
I think the concern that y'all have is the monthly. I mean, you're talking about a monthly basis. In other words, if it's $160,000 a month, and with our structure, it's going to be, $180,000 or whatever the number may be. Is that what you're concerned with? Is that the monthly amounts are not going to match up?
Our
Because
concern
we're
was
budgeting
that,
on a monthly basis, or are we talking about taking the budget as a whole?
our concern was that you understood where the information in front of you was coming from, and this is a recommendation, not necessarily the actual current employees in the shelter right now.
This is
Right, you had
more or
stated
less.
these were
You had
current
said
employees, and
that
that's
these
not
are
the
current
case.
employees of the shelter right
But
now,
it's not.
and this may not necessarily be that.
Do you think there are more employees out there or less than this?
Less.
There are less than this out there.
But the majority of them will be the employees that are, I've got to interview everybody, I think Wednesday.
That's one of the reasons that the shelter is in the shape it's in now.
That would be
Not enough
the,
employees there to take care of business. So this is what we recommend we're gonna have to add.
But
this is added employees based on the recommendations from the county that we need to increase the level of services at the shelter.
okay, well, I think
The cost.
the point, Commissioner Metter, is that we should have 11/12 of $1.5 million in the budget as it stands. Over the next quarter, we can get people hired, we can review what the actual expenses are, and then we can make a budget adjustment or amendment, 3 months from now, 4 months from now.
No, it's
Uh,
Yeah.
And that way, we're not over-committing today.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
We can always figure it
Because
out.
we got plenty of money to operate, obviously,
Exactly.
for the next quarter or whatever it is, and then we'll have a better idea of where we are.
And I believe the auditor can confirm or tell me I'm all wrong on this. Does the court need to do something right now with regard to setting the position for county employees since it's now under a service contract?
We set them as temporary positions.
Yes.
Correct, we need the positions authorized to be county employees, because right now it's all paid under one contract. We would need each individual
Then
position.
how would the process flow if you begin to set up the local government corporation? How would we begin that?
Well, we would just need to, that's the direction the court wants to go. We'll start that process and can probably bring that back, possibly before the next court, certainly the court after that.
This is the first I've heard of local government corporation, so you may need to explain what that is, how that idea came about, and what the benefit to the county and the people would be from this.
And it's just a preliminary idea. I don't remember who proposed it. The local government corporation is a entity set up by the county as a separate entity. Our toll road authority is a local government corporation, and therefore it operates currently under the toll road association. The court members sit as directors of that corporation, have the direct oversight of that corporation. And a local government corporation can set up where that is not necessarily the case. You can set it up where non-court members can be the directors of the corporation, have the direct oversight of that particular entity that's running.
What benefit do we get out of having this local government corporation running it versus the court?
Again, it's preliminary analysis, but the preliminary analysis, one, you can have the directors can meet separately from the commissioner's court and have almost more direct contact with the people interested in that entity. You can.
Would that be different than the board, than the court appointing its own board oversight committee? And I'm just thinking, I don't know that I want this to be 2 arms length away, because what happened last time, we got into an agreement with this company that is not doing the job that we would have wanted them to do it. It's taken us a little bit more time than I think we'd have liked to unwind. I don't know if I'd want to get back in that same situation. So I certainly, we don't need to take action on the creation of this local government corporation today.
No, we're not asking you to do that at this point.
What it would look like.
We can come back with a report to Commissioner's Court as to whether we think that's the better thing to do or not, and the pros and cons on that. There are a couple of benefits for it. There's some detriment to it as well. So it's clearly a policy decision of this court whether
If
to
you have a
do
local
that.
government corporation running that shelter, would those employees need to be county employees still, or would they be?
Our understanding is, at this juncture, they would be employees of that local government corporation. And in that instance, you could actually, one of the benefits is you can have separate employee benefits for those employees as opposed to assimilating them into the countywide employee benefit package.
Okay.
And that may lower the cost of operation of it.
What makes up the biggest part of that $1 million increase in the budget?
It's going to be the benefits of the employees.
Employee
That
benefit.
package is $1 million.
Retirement alone is,
Huh?
insurance alone is $11,000 per employee, so.
Yeah, I know. But how many employees we have?
It looks like it's about
That's 35.
530
I think it's
million.
37.
I mean, 530,000 roughly.
35 employees at $10,000 apiece, that's not $1 million.
Let's see, the
That's just
benefits
insurance.
are $908,000 on the employees that we have listed here.
Okay, currently we don't have those benefits.
That's correct. Currently, we pay a contract, and we don't pay benefits on any.
I see 340 for employee insurance and 128 for retirement.
That's correct.
So that's not.
But then you also have your unemployment and your FICA.
The
The
FICA.
FICA is $88,000.
We got to pay that anyway, though.
Well, if you're paying a contract.
Well, but it's not benefits. I mean, I'm looking at the insurance and retirement cost.
Still a cost.
Okay.
That's 80,000. Any kind of retirement employee that's there.
Yeah, if you look on the first page where it has salary other, that's the prorated amount. I apologize, that's for the salary of the employees. You're correct. It's $463 for the benefits.
Yeah, the cost of the
So 463,000, Mike, for benefits.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, it's not
$1 million.
That's important.
Right, the increase, that's quite a difference, right? I apologize. The difference is $498,000 and the benefits are $463.
And I believe.
Well,
The benefits are
the
prorated
difference
for
is
this
$1 million
first year.
because we're claiming 500,000 in revenue, so, I mean, net, we're increasing the budget $500,000, but
Right, but we have
If you
quite a
take the
few more
revenue out, then
employees, and we
increase it.
also have a director's salary of $71,000 there. It's all broken down on that first page.
yeah, I'm looking at it, but I still can't see it.
And these revenues, are these just fees that we charge for adoptions and?
Correct.
I believe under the current contract, Care Corporation is getting those revenues of $500,000.
Yeah.
So the difference really is almost in the employee benefit.
Is there any potential to, and I'm just thinking out loud, but combining animal shelter and animal control again, having one director that,
Well, you have to have a law enforcement officer.
and animal control?
I like, that'd be better on the county, the liability there.
And we're moving, they're gonna be working more closely together.
Okay, that's what I understand part of the problem is on intake and with stray hold periods and things like that. We need to better incorporate that into our structure of the facility itself.
Okay, so Commissioner, as I understand your motion right
Can we,
now, maybe I don't, let you go ahead and restate it.
can we go ahead and take the recommendation first as to whether to reject the Department of Purchasing's proposal?
Okay.
By itself.
Well,
By
the
itself.
question still though is, are we going to rebid it as a local government corporation or some other form?
We don't have to
But
put that
still
on
be.
BD.
Well, no, we wouldn't have to rebid if we were going to form a local government corporation. One of the, in the RFPs, it could have been a nonprofit corporation, or it could have been a for-profit corporation. But if we're the sponsoring organization of local government corporation, that's not a bid process or RFP process.
Your motion is to reject and not rebid.
And not rebid, re-advertise the RFP.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. So moving forward, then what we're going to look to do is the county take over the operation November 7th.
Yes,
And hire on these employees as temporary employees.
temporary county
And
employees.
look at the process of creating a local government corporation moving forward to run the shelter with the board in place in that operation.
We need a funding source for that.
Well, the current budget,
Current.
So you're not going to increase it at
not
Not
yet.
budget.
It's not a good time.
And also this animal shelter will be reporting directly to Commissioner Clark. And that any potential candidates that you can pre-screen these candidates, but the court will get to weigh in on who the final director is.
Currently, there are no positions in the animal shelter, so we need to set those up today.
That's fine. I think we give Commissioner Clark the authority and ability to go in there and make any adjustments or changes to the budget that he needs to accommodate this change. And that can be part of this motion, is to give him that flexibility.
Why don't we just put this under Commissioner Clark's
Budget,
purview, under his budget?
move it all under.
Well,
That way he would have full control, like my lake park or whatever y'all got.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
from Greenway Nature Center, it's just a lot,
What about doing that?
I'm good with that.
That way he could make decisions without having to.
Somebody needs to.
Come down.
And once we create the local government, at that point, we can take it.
Well, we could do it different, but right now, for you interviewing and hiring and whatever, it'd make it a lot easier.
Okay.
And I'm okay with it for one.
We go, man.
Okay, so today is the court creating the positions that are on the sheet.
Say that again.
Is the court authorizing these positions that are on this sheet?
Yes.
They're taking the
We're
recommendation?
putting them under Commissioner Clark's,
Okay.
but moving the animal shelter budget with Clark's.
And
As
with
a
the
separate-
understanding,
as a separate line.
that it's being amended to get rid of the contract services line and create these employees line
Temporary.
temporarily.
correct.
And temporary employees by ADA compliance have to be less than 1 year, so the project cannot exceed 1 year.
Right.
Mhm.
So Hopefully the next year we'll.
Mr. Clark can work with y'all to get that done.
Exactly, directly, not have to come back to court for a lot of
And
it.
if we create these positions that are listed on the sheet in front of you, we do not have enough funds to make it for the full year, so we'll have to make some.
Right.
Right.
We'll adjust that
We will.
a quarter or so.
And we will.
Okay.
And we just need to get things up running and stabilized so we know what that number's gonna be,
Yes, sir.
rather than just take a shot in the dark.
Correct.
Okay, so do we need to move on?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we will accept these positions
As recommended.
as recommended.
Effective, we need an effective date, Saturday,
November 7th.
November 7th.
Effective November 7th.
Have a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
One other item, Judge and Commissioner, I believe based on what you need to do, you need to formally terminate the animal services agreement November 7th. As I said, we have an agreement in principle. We prepared a document. I expect it not to change very much. But in that regard, if you, what we would recommend is that you move to terminate the agreement on November 7th and appoint either Commissioner Clark or Commissioner Riley, the person authorized to sign the termination agreement on behalf of the county.
Move.
Second.
Wait, we need a name.
Commissioner Clark.
Okay. Commissioner Clark.
Sir.
Authorized to sign.
What if, does he need like, let's say this agreement gets worked out today and they know that we've taken action and they want to walk out today or tomorrow? Should we give Commissioner Clark the flexibility?
Mr. Clark gets called out.
Again, we have an agreement in principle as to the date.
Because why even wait is kind of what I'm wondering. I mean,
One is the beginning of a pay period. November 7th is the beginning of a pay period.
Interview.
Give us time to interview these guys, get them on
say that you
board.
want- okay.
I don't see them walking out. I see them waiting till we get ready to move it.
And November 7th really is about the earliest that the county could, as a practical matter, do it.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second to authorize Commissioner Clark to sign the dissolution of the contract.
Or any agreement reached.
Yes, and I have a written resolution on it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. What else?
I just want to make a quick comment that there's been some rumors about what all is going to happen when the county takes it over, about all the dogs are going to be euthanized. That's not going to happen. We're going to go in there and try to take care of business the way we should. We need all the volunteers to get along, to work together, because we're going to have help, and that's what we're looking for. So we'll keep y'all updated as best we can, and now that Commissioner Clark has got the authority, we don't have to do all of this in front of this court. Jim can do a lot now as he needs to, so.
Frankly, I'm tired of having to tell you that, we've got a contract with care and we have to do what they, it's basically like my hands have been tied and can't do anything. And it's not that I'm going to be, making decisions without consulting other members of the court. We're going to, work as a team to move this forward, but somebody's got to, see this thing through. And I held my hand up about, I don't know, how long ago? 10 months ago.
Been 3 or 4 years. I think.
It seems like it, but, we're going to begin the search right away for an executive director. We're going to continue the spay neuter initiative. I mean, to me, my goal is to have a spay and neuter event somewhere in Montgomery County every weekend of every week. I mean, that's the real answer. I mean, we can talk about we building a new shelter, and it's sort of like that's not the problem. If we don't stop the problem at the root and increase this spay neuter, then we're just spinning our wheels. I mean, things are going to continue to spiral out of control, and that's the key to making this work. So I'm looking forward to taking on the challenge and actually having the authority to do something now. and not, I hate having to give you all the answer that, well, we can't do anything. And come November 7th, that's going to change, and we're going to start making some good, solid decisions to move the shelter in the right direction moving forward. And I look forward to including the volunteers and the fosters and all the groups together, bring you to the table, and, we need your help. We've had a lot of miscommunication. We've had a lot of, I guess, fussing and discussing and other things in there, but let's just move forward with good, positive energy, and let's make Montgomery County Animal Shelter the shining star that it can be in the state of Texas and the United States, as far as I'm concerned.
And let me make sure everyone had Jim Clark's cell phone number.
That's a good point, Commissioner. And even with the amount of money that we have, if the shelter operated completely efficiently and perfectly, we still can't take care of all the animals in the community. So we're reaching out to you guys too as well, and I appreciate your patience and your concern and your time. It takes all of you volunteers to find homes for those animals that are healthy, because we can't keep them all in our shelter. So I thank you for the job that you're doing. We encourage you to continue to work diligently with one another as all the groups, and working with Commissioner Clark, and let's take care of these animals. Thank you.
One other thing, Tim Hollyville will not be running the shelter. That's not going to happen. He's going to be working for me. He will help get everybody, or help Commissioner Clark try to get it up and running the way we need it to go, but then he's coming back to me.
Judge, I know there's some questions. We want to do public comments?
Very briefly, if we have a couple of questions, sure.
I actually don't have a question. I'm a professional consultant. I'm also a foster of a huge amount of your animals. And I've been sitting here jumping down my seat because I urgently want to help you. I've already assessed the problems at that shelter from the ground up. And I did it quietly. No one asked me to, because mainly I'm a foster. But I came in and I was absolutely horrified. I left the shelter last night at 8 o'clock, 3 hours after closing. After cleaning up diarrhea out of cages, feeding pets, animals that had not been fed, they had no water. I'm submitting myself as your new executive director. I can take the job today. I don't know how the process goes. I'm just saying, I'm here. I'm hearing some comments amongst you guys that I probably could give you a different answer to.
Well, we appreciate your comments. You might want to get with Commissioner Clark after court and give some input. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I had a comment.
Well, we have a lady back here real quick.
Okay, yeah, okay. Will I be
Yeah.
able to approach you?
Sure, sure.
Just briefly, thank you very much. My name is Michelle Gonzalez. This is my daughter Danielle. We've both been volunteers at the animal shelter for 1 year this month, actually. It's been a roller coaster year full of ups, downs, frustrations, and elations. But what we're seeing now within this past 2 months is beyond anything that I would term rational or logical. The ship is running on autopilot, and what I can only classify as being led by a blind pilot. What's happened before today is in the past. As of today, let's leave it there and focus on what brought everyone here in the first place, whether it was right or wrong. That's the innocent, dependable, close to 1,000 animals that didn't ask to be housed in the Montgomery County Animal Shelter. Fate brought them there, and love and compassion must guide them through the next journey of their lives. They know to go out stronger. They need to go out stronger than they came in, knowing that those overseeing their welfare have done everything they can within budgetary means and humanitarian means to find their forever home for them, because it sure didn't work for them for the first time. My daughter and I have remained nonpartisan throughout the entire reorganization because we believe, everyone here believes, that they're the ones whose ideas will positively alter the course of this ship. But today we felt we needed to come forward, the first day of change, to make you aware that there are several immediate issues that need to be addressed that don't have time to wait for change. The first is the need for an immediate vet, preferably 2. Second, an emergency budget, which we've all talked about today, that can be fiscally available as of today to purchase things that we've just learned that are in dire need, which are medicines and vaccines. And the third, a manager to oversee the entire shelter, which we have discussed. with 4 completely separate managers, we think, to be on board, each overseeing diversely different sections of the shelter. For example, the medical, the clinic, the kennels, and the office. They are so different and in desperate need of their own management team. We want to thank you for allowing us the opportunity to speak and want everyone to remember as we move forward from today on that 1,000 lives that change every day but never reduce in numbers are imploring us to watch out for their health and well-being and innocently and naively placing their lives in our confident hands. We can't afford to let them down. We want to thank you guys very much. One recommendation we have is possibly to see if we can get some retired vets in to help. Maybe there's a lot of people out there retired that want to do something. I retired, this is what I did, it became my passion.
Very great suggestion. I'll give it to Commissioner Clark.
Yeah, we are here to help you as well, as we feel very passionate about what we're doing, and I want to thank you guys for allowing us to speak.
Well, and I know that we've heard a lot about the shelter issue with regards to food and that dry food, canned food. I can assure you the budget is there to make sure, without a doubt, that these animals are fed and watered as they're supposed to be. And medicine as well. But yeah, I mean, and that's what's nice about having this moved under Commissioner Clark and his budget, is he'll have the full authority to be able to go in and do what he needs to do as far as procuring and making sure that the shelves are stocked, the medicine is there, and that we have the right people in the right places to take very good care of the animals.
I think you will. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
I'm not sure we had somebody on board right away because of the sick clinic and stuff. It's really been hard for the fosters. But the other thing was, I don't really know how the benefits part of the equation works if a local government entity takes over. But I know that was kind of some of the complaints that came about with a few employees. Their hours were cut, so benefits didn't have to be paid for. You know, obviously that leaves a little bit more room, you know, budget money-wise. I don't know what they did with that money, but is there something that can be done if a local government entity takes over to ensure that they don't just cut hours for employees? Because that what ends up happening then is the care for the animals goes down, because you have employees there that are just part-time employees, they either don't care or they're just there.
All those details have to be worked out in that process.
Okay. Okay.
Yep, absolutely. That's one of the things we have to take a look at.
Okay.
I do just have a comment. I do think the 1.5 million is not enough. If you compare it to other shelters, major shelters in our area, their budgets are a lot more, and they're able to do a lot more programs right now. The spay-neuter, Mr. Clark, is it's a great idea, but unless you do registration and licensing to force people to spay and neuter, it's not going to get done. We've spayed, our group has spayed 4,000 animals in our group as a nonprofit, okay? But people, unless you have direction and licensing and registration, you're not going to be able to get the point across. You may be able to get out there with free vouchers, okay? And some people will take advantage of it, just as they did at some of the clinics we've done all throughout our county over the years. They will take advantage of it, but the people in East County, unless you put it in registration and licensing, I don't think they're going to jump at it, okay? There needs to be a penalty involved if people don't spay and neuter their animals, because they're putting the onus on the taxpayers of Montgomery County and the shelter to take care of their problems. We just took 4 puppies from Huntsville because the breeder dumped the 4 black labs they couldn't sell at the shelter. It happens at every shelter. So unless you do something about that, you're going to have a hard time, okay? But I do think the budget needs to be increased, because you need better programs. You need a really good national director that has a lot of shelter experience. Thanks.
Thank you.
And all those things have been kind of discussed, touched on today, and will be worked out in greater detail, Commissioner, as you move forward.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone. If there's not anything else, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move with adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Judge, tell me what decision was made today and what's going to happen.
Today's decision was to finalize the termination of contract with Care Corporation. The county's now going to take over operations of the animal shelter under the guidance of Commissioner Clark. We ultimately will probably set up a local government
what was the term keeps getting away, a local government corporation that will ultimately run that the shelter under the direction of an advisory board. I think moving forward, it'll be a better operation, a better system for the animals here in Montgomery County that we can have better local control of.
Now, people that are there now, the employees there, are they going to stay? Will it be?
Yes, the employees that are there now will be interviewed by Commissioner Clark. I suspect they will all stay as temporary county employees while we take over for the part-time until we get the local government corporation guys.
Now, temporary county employees, that full benefit too, or how does that work?
It's benefits, but it's only for an 11-month period.
What about as far as the budget? I mean, the budget looks like it's going to hold for that.
We're going to continue with our existing budget and operate on the existing budget until we, that budget's in place for the balance of this year. I think we'll be in good shape for most of the year. If we see that we need to increase that budget for needs that are at that shelter, we'll look at that at the time that we see revenues dwindling in that existing budget.
You think it's finally the answer to get the shelter back under control?
I think it's a move for the county to take over. We'll put the local government corporation in place that will give us more local control and more local input and be able to manage that shelter much more efficiently.
What about the population of the shelter? I mean, it's still growing.
Population's still growing. That's where we depend really on our volunteers, on the groups that are out there trying to find homes for these animals, that are getting the pet adoptions in place, because we can only house so many animals in that shelter, and we need to find permanent homes for those that are in good shape. And we've got some great organizations doing a great job with finding homes for these animals.
What about someone did bring up registration?
Something that will be considered, as we move forward, registration of animals, so that we kind of get a better control on who's doing the spay and neuter for the animals that they do have. Sometimes I'm not so sure it's a matter of having an animal problem, but an owner problem in some cases, where they don't take care of the animals that they have. So that registration may be a good solution to that problem.
Yeah, actually some financial backing there too.
And some financial backing and some punitive measures for those that don't take care of those animals properly.
All right. And now, as far as the care corporation right now, what happens with that?
As of November 7th, they will be out of the shelter and will no longer have a relationship with Montgomery County.
All right.